to Dead Money Sports NFL Playoff Preview. I'm your host, Jesse Flynn, and it's the Super Wildcard Weekend, the first weekend of the NFL playoffs, and we've got 6 exciting games to choose from. 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night. We've got 3 divisional matchups. So this will be the third time that these teams will be meeting each other. And the other 3 games are replays of games or rematches of games that took place earlier in the season. So we've got a lot of exciting options to choose from this week. We've got 3 days of exciting NFL action, and hopefully we can find some value in these games, make some money while we're enjoying this NFL slate. So let's get into it and not wait any longer and see who I like for the Super Wildcard Weekend. So the first matchup for Super Wildcard Weekend on Saturday is the Seattle Seahawks going up to Santa Clara to take on the San Francisco 49ers. Now the 49ers are a 9-point favorite. The total in this game is 43. And this is one of those games where this is a division matchup where these 2 teams will be meeting each other for the 3rd time this year. The 49ers won the first 2 games between these 2 teams, and I like the 49ers in this matchup. I know laying 9 points is a lot of points to lay, especially in a division matchup, but in the playoffs, the winner of the game covers the spread about 85% of the time. So remember that if you think a team's going to win the game, they're likely going to cover the spread. And in this one, I think the 49ers defense is just too much for Seattle to handle. I think the 49ers offense will do just fine with Brock Purdy at quarterback. And I just think that their defense will actually create opportunities. If they don't create points on their own, they'll create opportunities for the 49ers offense with short fields, with turnovers. I just think they're too much for the Seattle Seahawks to handle. I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well against this team. And I think Geno Smith will be under duress all game with Joey Bosa and this San Francisco 49ers defensive front getting after him in this game. I expect the 49ers to implement a run-heavy game plan because the weakness of this defense has been their defensive front and their linebackers. The secondary, though they're young, have played well most of the year, and they'll have their hands full with Deebo Samuel, Ayuk, Kittle, Jennings, and even McCaffrey out of the backfield. So I just expect San Francisco to rely on McCaffrey and their other running backs to run the ball and set up the play action, not really ask Brock Purdy to do too much. And I believe the defense will, again, give them opportunities for easy points. And I don't know where the points are going to come from for Seattle. I don't think they're going to be able to score in the red zone against this stout San Francisco team. So not only am I laying the points with the 49ers, but I'm going under the total of 43 in this game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring matchup. I think we're going to see a lot of field goals in this game. I'll get to that a little bit later, but I do believe that this is maybe a 28-13 game, maybe less than that, maybe 24-13 game with San Francisco coming out ahead. And again, staying under the total, which is sitting at 43 right now. So for my pick in this game, I'll be going with San Francisco -9 and under the total of 43. Now, as for this game, I've got a couple prop bets for this game. The first one is Christian McCaffrey over 35.5 receiving yards Now, he's gone over 30 or more receiving yards in 4 of the last 5 games, and I expect San Francisco to use short passes, screen passes, angle routes to eliminate any potential mistakes by Brock Purdy and to get the ball into the hands of McCaffrey, again, with the Seattle Seahawks having weak linebackers and not being very good covering running backs out of the backfield. I just think this is a great matchup for McCaffrey, and I expect him to go over the 35.5 receiving yards in this game. So my first prop for the Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers matchup is Christian McCaffrey over 35.5 receiving yards. My second prop for this game is Jason Myers over 5.5 kicking points in this game. Again, this goes back to the San Francisco 49ers defense. They're very good in the red zone. I think Seattle's going to really struggle to actually punch the ball in and score touchdowns. They're going to settle for field goals early in this game and try to keep the points, try to keep the score close. And I think it's going to lead to Myers having at least 3 field goal attempts in this game. So going over 5.5 points, he should be able to do that no problem. Over the season, he's gone over 6 points in the last 7 games. So they've been relying on field goals more than touchdowns over the last 2 months of the season for the Seahawks. And I think, again, we'll see him get more opportunities in this one. So my second prop for the Seahawks 49ers is Jason Myers over 5.5 kicking points. So the second game for Saturday's Super Wildcard Weekend slate is the Los Angeles Chargers heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. The line is the Jaguars are getting 2.5 points at home. The total for this game is sitting at 47.5 right now. I like the Jags in this one. I'm actually not even going to take the points with Jacksonville. I'm going to take the money line. Money line right now is plus 128. And that's the side that I'm going to be taking. I think the Jags get it done. I think they'll be able to run the ball against this Chargers defense. I think they'll be able to move the ball on the ground with both Etienne and Trevor Lawrence. And I also think that they'll be able to use the play action to score points in this game. Now the Chargers, they lost Mike Williams last week in their Week 18 game. And I think that's a big loss for this offense because he's the guy that the defense has to worry about, the deep shot, the one-on-one, the jump ball down the field for 60 yards. And without him on the field, it really allows the defense to focus in on the other offensive skill players that the Chargers have. And I just think it's going to be enough for the the Jaguars to get the win in this game. Again, like I said, I think they'll be able to run the ball. I think they'll be able to use play action off of the run. And I just think that this Chargers defense has struggled throughout the season. And yes, they've looked good over the last month or so, but I just think it's too much to ask. I do think this is going to be a high-scoring game, though. With the total being sitting at 47.5, I would take the over in this game because I do still think there will be explosive plays in this game. I also think there'll be a lot of fourth down conversion attempts by both sides because we've seen that both of these head coaches are willing to go for it on fourth down, particularly if they're in the other team's area. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. I predict it to be somewhere in the 54 points total. And again, I like the Jags to win it straight up. I think they've got what it takes. They're playing well. They've won their last 5 games. And I think that momentum of winning in Week 18 and being on this win streak, being at home, is going to carry over into this game. With guys like Trevor Lawrence and ETN, even though they're young and they haven't played in the playoffs, these are guys that have played for national championships in college, so I don't think the moment is going to be too big for them. And playing at home, I think it eliminates being in that hostile environment. You know, they're sleeping at home, they don't have to travel, and I think all of that's going to add up to a victory for the Jags. So for the second game, I'm going to take Jacksonville money line plus 128, and I'm also going to take the over 47.5. Now my props for this game, I've got ETN over 15.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this total in the last 4 games. So I expect to see some screen passes. I expect to see some dump offs. They want to get the ball in ETN's hands any way they can. And I think he'll have no problems going over this total. So my first prop for the Los Angeles Chargers versus Jacksonville Jaguars is ETN over 15.5 receiving yards. My second prop for this game is Sebastian Joseph Day over 3.5 tackles and assists. It's plus 132, so you're getting plus money. He's gone over this total in 3 of the last 5 games. And I expect, like I said, the Jags to run the ball. I think they're going to use ETN and Hasty in this game. So I think he'll have plenty of opportunities to get over this total. With it being 3.5, I think 4. He'll have no problems reaching that. And with it being plus 132, I think there's plenty of value in this bet. So my second prop for the Chargers versus the Jaguars is Sebastian Joseph Day over 3.5 tackles and assists. And I have one last prop for this game, and that's Trevor Lawrence, his anytime touchdown scorer, which is at plus 350. He has 5 rushing touchdowns on the year. And in these type of games, short yardage in the, from the 10-yard line in, there's a very good possibility he could use his legs to run the ball in. And, if they get down to the 1 or 2 yard line, we could certainly see the QB sneak bush push play from short yardage on the goal line with a quarterback that is as big and as athletic as Trevor Lawrence. So my bonus prop for this game is Trevor Lawrence, anytime touchdown scorer at plus 350. So the third game of the Super Wildcard Weekend and the first game of the Sunday slate is the Miami Dolphins heading up to Buffalo to take on the Bills. Now the Bills are laying 12 points at home. The total for this game is 43.5. And I really like the Buffalo Bills in this game. This is one of those division rivalry matchups where these two teams have already played each other twice this year. Each team got a win at home. But now Miami has to go up to Buffalo, playing in winter conditions in that stadium, outdoors, with their third-string quarterback who has not looked very comfortable up to this point. I just think it's a bad situation for the Miami Dolphins. The Buffalo Bills defense is getting healthier after losing some of their key players throughout the season to injury. And I think this is just going to be a nightmare situation for the Miami Dolphins offense. I just think Skylar Thompson is going to be in over his head. You're asking a third-string rookie quarterback to go up into a very hostile environment, playing in very difficult conditions against arguably one of the best defenses in the league. It just doesn't set up very well. And this also falls under that criteria of, if I think a team's going to win the game, then I got to think they're going to cover the spread. And even though this is a big spread for the Buffalo Bills to cover, I'm going to lay the points with them because I just think they're a superior team. I think this is going to be a blowout. The total for this game is 43.5, and I think it goes over but I think most of that work is done by the Buffalo Bills. I'm predicting a 35-14 game. I don't think this is going to be very close. And again, even though it's a big number, I just think that Buffalo's offense is too good. Their defense is too good. They're going to be playing inspired football with the return of Hamlin back from being out of the hospital. He's supposed to attend the game. I just think the emotions are going to be very high. Buffalo's going to be looking to get right and show everybody that they deserve to maybe be the number one seed in the AFC, and they're going to handle their business. You know, it's just a bad matchup all the way around for Miami. They were lucky to make the playoffs, and I just think they're going to get blown out. Like I said, I think it's going to be about 35-14 Buffalo in this game. So I'm willing to lay the 12. So for the third game, give me the Buffalo Bills minus 12, and I'm also going to take the over 35.5. So the props that I've picked out for the Dolphins versus the Bills, I'm going with Stephon Diggs over 6.5 receptions. Now, he's gone over this total in 9 of the 16 games that he's played this season. I expect him to have a big game. The Miami Dolphins passing defense ranks 27th in the league. They're much better against the run than they are against the pass, and I think you're going to see a lot of targets going Diggs' way, and I expect him to have a huge game. He's their best receiver, and you know the big-time players make big-time plays in big-time games. This is a big-time game. I expect him to have a big-time game in this big-time game. So my first prop is Stephon Diggs over 6.5 receptions. Now my second prop for this game is Josh Allen's anytime touchdown scorer, which right now is plus 125. He has 7 rushing touchdowns on the year. We know he's willing to run the ball. We know that this offensive coordinator will call designed runs for him. And just like Trevor Lawrence, if they're down inside the 10-yard line, if they're down on the goal line, there's no reason to risk a fumble when you can just rely on your big body athletic quarterback to run the ball in himself. And Josh Allen has no problems lowering his shoulder and trying to run over defenders, particularly down on the goal line and in a playoff game. So I really like the anytime touchdown score for Josh Allen at plus 125 as my second prop for the Miami Dolphins versus the Buffalo Bills. So the fourth game of Super Wildcard Weekend has the New York Giants going over to Minneapolis to take on the Vikings. The Vikings are laying 3 points at home. The total for this game is 48.5. This is a weird game because we've got, the Vikings who have been undefeated in one-score games all year, but have actually had a negative point differential, and their defense has really struggled. Most of the year, they give up, I think they're 31st in yards allowed to teams this season. So they're giving up a lot of yards. They've just been very fortunate in these one-score games all year. And the New York Giants, they've actually been the same. They were really fortunate in one-score games early in the season when they had that long undefeated run. That is basically what they've rode that initial start right into the playoffs. So this is a strange game to try to handicap, but I'm looking at the coaching staffs, and I'm going to go with the Giants +3 in this game because I think Wink Martindale and Daboll will come up with a defensive game plan to stymie the Vikings passing game. I really think they'll find a way to mitigate Justin Jefferson in this game and make Kirk Cousins have to rely on other players, other skill position players, to move the ball. I don't think they're going to allow Jefferson to burn them the way he's done to teams throughout this season, they're going to force them to go another route. Martindale has shown throughout the year that even though he doesn't have the most skilled defensive players, he knows how to get his guys into position to run the game plan that he has and slow down the other team's offense. The Vikings, they've been such an up and down roller coaster team all year. It's just really hard to get a feel for who they truly are. And even though I had them winning their division, I certainly couldn't have predicted that they were going to win as many one-score games in the fashion that they have throughout this season. And, I think their luck might run out in this game and that the Giants will be able to pull off the victory on the road. I think that Barkley should have a big game on the ground. I think Daniel Jones will also have a big game on the ground. We'll see him using his legs and using them to convert third downs. Also, down in the red zone, which I'll get to a little bit later. But I just think that the Giants are going to find a way to beat this Vikings team. We saw these two teams meet each other on Christmas Day, and even though the Vikings ended up winning the game on a 60-yard field goal, the Giants actually beat them in the box score. So I'm sure they've got revenge on their mind from losing that game, and they've also got a better understanding of how to face this Minnesota Vikings offense and how to attack their defense. So I'm going to go with the New York Giants +3 in this game, and I'm also going to take the under 48.5. Like I said, I think that Wink Martindale is going to come up with a really good defensive plan, and I also think Daboll and the Giants offense are going to look to run the ball. They're going to try to control the clock, control the time of possession, limit the amount of possessions that the Vikings have, and try to shorten the game. And I think that'll lead to a much low-scoring game. And so I like the under 48.5. So for this game, give me the New York Giants +3 and under 48.5. So my props for the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings are Daniel Bellinger over 23.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this total in 5 games this season, and he's also missed going over by 2 yards in 2 more games. And I expect to see some dump-offs from Daniel Jones to the tight end. The Vikings kind of struggle. They're not the greatest with linebackers. And I think that play action with Barkley will draw the linebackers up and allow Daniel Jones to exploit the seam routes to Bellinger. So I expect to see him have about 4 targets in this game, and he should be able to get over this total of 23.5 quite easily. So I really like his receiving total. So that's Daniel Bellinger over 23.5 receiving yards. So my next prop for the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings is KJ Osborne over 36.5 receiving yards. Now he's really come on in the last few games. He's gone over this total in 4 of the last 5 games. Last week, they didn't really play all their best players, so he didn't go over that total, but I think he's going to be a big factor in this game. Again, I think Martindale is going to force Kirk Cousins to have to throw the ball to anybody other than Justin Jefferson. And Osborne has shown that he is more than capable of handling the workload, and he's earned the trust of Kirk Cousins. So I expect him to have a big game. I don't think Thielen is going to have a big game. I don't think Jefferson is going to have the astronomical numbers we've seen him put up in games throughout the regular season. And I expect KJ Osborne to be the benefactor of the Martindale defensive scheme. So my second prop for this game is KJ Osborne over 36.5 receiving yards. So my last prop for the New York Giants versus the Minnesota Vikings is Daniel Jones, anytime touchdown scorer at +185. Now Daniel Jones has gotten 7 rushing touchdowns on the year. We know that he's athletic. He can run the ball. He's willing to use his legs. He's done it before. I expect him to have a good rushing day against this Vikings defense. And even though Saquon Barkley is usually the back that gets the carries down in the red zone, with 7 rushing touchdowns, Daniel Jones' number has been called plenty of times down in the red zone. And this is the time of year when you want to try to mitigate mistakes. So instead of handing the ball to the running back and risking the chance of a fumble, why not just let your athletic quarterback run it in and use the back as a lead blocker? So I expect to see those type of plays down low. If they get down on the 1 yard line, we could also see the QB sneak. Now he's not as big as Josh Allen or Trevor Lawrence, but he's still a pretty big guy, and he's shown that he's willing to get in there and get physical if it's what his team needs to win. So my last prop for this game is Daniel Jones, anytime touchdown score at plus 185. So our 5th game for Super Wildcard Weekend and the final game of the Sunday slate is the Baltimore Ravens heading to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Now the Bengals are 9.5-point home favorites. The total for this game right now is 40.5 points. So what the books are telling me is that they're not expecting a high-scoring game, but they're also not expecting the Baltimore Ravens to score a lot of points in this game. Now, this is a division matchup, so this is the 3rd time these two teams will be facing each other. And these two teams just met recently, and the Baltimore Ravens failed to cover in that game, did not score very many points in that game. But I like Baltimore in this. I'm going to take the 9.5 points with the Ravens, and it's more because I think the Baltimore Ravens defense will be able to keep this game close. Even though I don't have much faith in the Ravens offense, I don't think this game will get out of control, and I think that's mainly because of the Ravens defense. They're one of the best teams against the run in the league, so I think they'll be able to stop the Bengals' rushing attack that really hasn't been all that good all year long, and it'll allow them to put more guys in coverage in the passing game. I also think that they'll be able to get pressure on Joe Burrow, which will also end drives for the Bengals and not allow them to score a lot of points. So I'm not expecting a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the under 40.5 in this game. I'm predicting something more lines of, maybe 20-17. Or 20-13, 21-13. Like, I don't see this game getting away from the Ravens, and I see them having an opportunity to, if not win the game, get it close in the 4th quarter. And like I said, I just think the defense for the Ravens will be up to their game in this one, and they'll be able to keep this Cincinnati Bengals offense to a minimum amount of points. And so I think the 9.5 points is enough for the Ravens to cover. I don't think they're going to win this game, and it kind of goes against my philosophy of picking a team I think is going to win. But I just think in this particular matchup, the 9.5 points is too much to be giving to a division rival in this situation. So with such a good defense. So for this 5th game of the Super Wildcard Weekend, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens plus 9.5, and I'm also going to take the under 40.5. So my prop bet for the Baltimore Ravens versus the Bengals is Joe Mixon under 54.5 rushing yards. Now, Baltimore struggled to run the ball most of the season. That's not really been their strength. And now they're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, who are the number 3 defense against the run this season. And they've been really good against the run since the acquisition of Roquan Smith. So I don't expect Mixon to have a very big game. And like I said, I don't expect this to be a high-scoring game. So I think we could certainly see mix in, maybe have as many receiving yards as he does rushing yards. But I just like the under 45.5. I think he's going up against this tough defense. He's gone under this total 6 times this year. So we could also see Pirine in this game, which will cut into Mixon's carries, which will also help get him under this total of 54.5. So my next prop for the Baltimore Ravens versus Cincinnati Bengals is Tyler Boyd over 3.5 receptions at plus 120. So as good as the Ravens are against the rush, they've struggled against the pass. They rank 26th against the pass. And so I expect Tyler Boyd to have a good game. He's gone over 3.5 receptions 8 out of the 16 games he's played this season, and he's gone over this number 3 out of the last 5 games. So he's been getting some decent target share, and I expect to see him get plenty of targets in this game as the Ravens defense will have their hands full with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So I really like this number for Boyd. Like I said, he's gone over this number in half of the games he's played this year, and you're getting plus money. So give me Tyler Boyd over 3.5 receptions. So the final game of Super Wildcard Weekend is the Monday night matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This game is going to be played in Tampa, and the Buccaneers are getting 2.5 points at home. The total for this game is 45.5 points. And I like the Bucs. I'm not even taking the points in this one either. I'm going to take the money line, which is sitting at around plus 120. So give me the Bucs money line plus 120. I just think that this is the time of year when Tom Brady is at his best. This Dallas Cowboys team has been a roller coaster all season long. I mean, Dak Prescott's thrown an interception in, I believe, 7 straight games. And their defense has really been regressing as we've been pushing towards the end of the season. I just think that even though the Bucs have really they've struggled to score points throughout this year, I think their defense is going to play well. It looks like they're going to have Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks back, so they should really have their best players to shut down the Cowboys' rushing attack. And I think the defense is going to rattle Dak Prescott. He'll make some mistakes, and I think Tom Brady will do what Tom Brady does. He'll keep his team in the game and end up pulling out the victory in the fourth quarter. So I just really like the Bucs' chances here to win this game. And I like the fact that they're at home and they're an underdog. It just makes it that much more interesting to take them. So for the 5th and final game, I'll be taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at money line plus 120. And the total is sitting at 45.5. I'm going to take the under in this game. I think this is going to be a slow developing game. Again, I think both teams will look to not make mistakes. There'll be a lot of punting in this game, some field goal attempts in this game, some turnovers in this game, and I believe in the end, it'll stay below the total of 45.5. So I'll be taking the Bucs money line plus 120 and under 45.5. So my prop bets for the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Tony Pollard over 22.5 receiving yards. Now he's gone over this number 5 times this year, and the Bucs are a blitz-heavy team, so we could certainly see some screen passes, some angle routes, some dump-offs to the running backs. They may look to just throw the ball to the running backs as an alternative to handing it to them because the Bucs defense is good against the run and will have their best run stuffers in the middle of that line with Vita Vea and Akeem Hicks. So they may look to just do the long handoff, West Coast offense style and just throw it directly to their running backs. And I think that completely benefits Tony Pollard. So I really like him to go over this number. So for my first prop, give me Tony Pollard over 22.5 receiving yards. So my second prop for the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is Rachaad White over 36.5 rushing yards. Again, Dallas is ranked 22nd against the rush. So they haven't been good against the run, and they've really struggled against the run even more going down the stretch to the end of the season. And I expect the Bucs to lean into the run game to exploit that weakness and to set up the play action. Now, I think Leonard Fournette will get some action as well, but I think he'll be more of the receiving back, and I think Rachaad White will be more of the running back. So I really like his chances to go over this number. And I actually think Leonard Fournette will go over his rushing total as well, as I think we'll see a pretty even split on the carries between these two running backs against this weak Cowboys rush defense. So my second prop is Rachaad White over 36.5 rushing yards. So my last prop for the Dallas Cowboys versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is CeeDee Lamb, anytime touchdown scorer, which is plus 155. And, he's just the number one option in the passing game, so why not take him? He's got 9 touchdowns, 107 receptions, and 156 targets on the year. And that was with Dak Prescott being out all those games with the injured hand. So had he been in there and had they been throwing the ball more than they were running the ball, he could have broke the record for receptions this year. So with him being the number one option and being as good as he is and knowing that Dak Prescott's going to force feed him the ball, I just think it's an inevitability that he's going to score at least one touchdown in this game. And the fact that it's at plus 155 just makes it that more enticing to take. So my last prop for the Dallas Cowboys, Tampa Bay Buccaneers is CeeDee Lamb, anytime touchdown scorer at plus 155. So those are my picks for the 6 games of the Super Wildcard Weekend, along with my prop bets for each game. Hopefully we can make this a successful start to the playoff season and really roll into these last few games, increasing our bankroll all the way up to the Super Bowl, and hopefully end this NFL season with more than what we started with. But now it's time for the Dead Money Sports Super Wildcard Weekend Parlay. And those picks are the San Francisco 49ers -9, the Jacksonville Jaguars money line plus 128, the Miami Dolphins Buffalo Bills over 43.5, the New York Giants Minnesota Vikings under 48.5, the Baltimore Ravens plus 9.5, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers money line plus 120. You put those 6 bets into one parlay, and it comes out to right around plus 6,500, 65 to 1. Last year, I hit the first 5 and lost on the last game, but it allowed everybody that had that ticket to hedge against that final game. I had the Cardinals. They lost in that first game last year in the playoffs. But hopefully we can hit all 6 and get the full 65 to 1 odds on this parlay. Well, everyone, it's been a great season. We're winding down as we head into the playoffs and head towards the Super Bowl. Thanks to everyone who's been watching. You can follow me on Instagram at Dead Money Sports, on Twitter at Dead Money Sports, and obviously at deadmoneysports.com, where you can find all the other betting-related content that isn't here on YouTube. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I hope you hit that like and subscribe button. Let's make as much money as we possibly can before this season is over. Try to hit those books where it counts and build our bankroll. Good luck to everybody out there, and thanks for watching.